All right, well, welcome today. My name is John Mazzara. I'm with Remax Results. And today I have Vicki Hoeppner, the owner of Heartland Inspections. She is one of the inspection companies that's available to you as a home buyer or even a home seller. And I think they do an exceptional job. They've been around for a number of years. I'll let Vicki give her background. And they're very well respected within the Twin Cities. And that's why I have her here today. So with that, Vicki, just tell us a little bit about your company, and then we'll go into what a home inspection is.
I'd love to, and thanks for the opportunity to be here today, John. And we like working with you and your clients, and we've been doing it for, gosh, 5 or 6 years, and we're very grateful about that. We founded Heartland in 1995. So we're up to our 25-year anniversary, and we have 9 inspectors. We serve the entire Twin Cities region. Um, and we provide home inspections for buyers and sellers, radon testing, sewer scopes, and this year we're rolling out mold testing as well because we've been asked to do that. And we're also getting involved in uh, chimney inspections for wood burning fireplaces.
Oh, awesome. Well, I
People,
didn't know that. That's
yeah,
great.
people, well, yeah, I haven't talked to you about that yet. People really like, and we all like the idea of one-stop shopping
Yes.
in our lives and more convenience. And so we're able to pivot and respond to what we're being asked about in the marketplace.
Oh,
But really, our goal and mission is real simple. It's to provide useful information for home buyers, home sellers, and real estate professionals to help them make informed decisions. And what I always tell folks from the get-go, especially if it might be your first time buying a house or you've never worked with an inspection company before, whether you're working with Heartland or any other professional inspector, is that the inspector's role is to provide information. The inspector's about the home. The inspector's role isn't to advise someone whether or not to buy the home. Um, and my guess is we'll get into talking a little bit more about what's involved in an inspection. But I'm real clear with folks about that from the get-go because frankly, that's one of the most common questions we get. And home inspections are done now on probably 90, 97, 98% of uh, purchases across the country. And so I think it's real important that we be mindful and aware of our role in the transaction.
yeah, that's great. Well, I like that you're adding those new services. You're vertically integrated. I know sometimes with a typical inspection period, I might have 10 days and I have to coordinate all of the different inspection people. But if you're offering one opportunity to get it all coordinated at one place with those extra ones too, that's great. With a base inspection, just if somebody, because it's all a la carte, where they can buy, the base inspection or add on the additional. What might somebody get in a base inspection as far as a report and a range of cost and a timeline on
Sure.
how long that takes?
Sure, we call that a basic residential inspection, and the inspection itself takes, depending on the size and the age of the home, of course, but on average they take 2.5 to 3 hours. And during that time, the inspector is coming in to look at. We like to encourage people to think of their a basic inspection as going to your uh, general practitioner for a medical checkup every year. We're looking at all the major systems in the home, so that's starting on the end. It's very routinized. We're starting on the exterior of the home and looking at the roof, the exterior, the garage, the foundation and sidewalk and driveway, and then moving into the home and starting out at the top and looking at the attic. We do always go up in the attic, assuming that we can gain access to that, and that's part of our customer services. Our company makes those arrangements ahead of time with the listing agent. But anyway, the inspector is going to inspect uh, the attic for structural and any visible signs of moisture. They're going to go down, they're going to look at all the common interior rooms, the bedrooms, bathroom, kitchen, living room, dining room, and the lower level. They're going to be looking at plumbing. They're going to be looking under every sink for any potential leaks. How are is the hot and cold water operating correctly? They're going to look at the electrical system, take the panel cover off the main panel in the basement, and look to make sure that they're getting a basic look at the wiring to make sure connections are correct. Um, in the kitchen and the basement, they're going to be testing major appliances that stay with the home to make sure the appliances operate. that doesn't mean they're necessarily running them through all the cycles, because every appliance has its own cycle and way of operating, and especially with the growing popularity of um, smart appliances,
Mm-hmm.
uh, they're becoming more challenging to operate. So we confirm that the appliances function on and that they will begin a cycle correctly. The inspector is also going to be looking at all of the showers and tubs in the home to see if there's any apparent signs of leaking. And throughout the entire inspection, one of the things an inspector is always looking for is signs of moisture intrusion, because that really, in my 25 years experience, moisture is the number one enemy of any homeowner. And when you think about it, we're building a structure and we're putting it in it's a box that we're putting in the ground. And there's every opportunity for water to get through.
For sure.
So as I said, an inspection takes about 2.5 to 3 hours. And at our company, part of this is the COVID protocols as well, but our inspectors arrive 2 hours early and they collect all the data and do about the lion's share of the inspection. And then we invite our clients and their agents, if they want to come for the last hour. And they go through a very thorough summary. The inspector collects all his data on a large tablet, reviews any photographs with them, goes over key issues that may be of particular importance to the client, and then they receive a written report. Typically, if it's a morning inspection, they're going to get the report by about 1 or 2 o'clock. Otherwise, for sure, we guarantee our reports are always delivered by 8 p.m. the same day as
Oh,
the inspection.
nice. I didn't realize that was part of your guarantee, but it always happened that way, which was nice because we're given a shortened time period of when we have to complete the inspection and the negotiations. So it's nice to know that you have that service guarantee where it will be delivered with, let's say, within 12 hours. It sounds
Yeah,
like.
there's occasionally, 5 or 10 times a year, we'll have a situation where, because of the complexity of the property or something changing, we need to delay. Sometimes an inspector, and that's part of their job, is if they're going to, they're not omnipotent, meaning that they don't know everything. And if they find something that they've not seen before, they're not sure why A is connecting to B, but not down the road to F or G, they'll go back to their home office after the inspection and do some research. And if they need to update their report, they'll go ahead and do that. So occasionally it's early the next morning, but that's a real rare occurrence.
That's awesome. With regards to the radon test, and I know some people buy the home kits, and I believe you use the machines. Could you explain what a radon test is and how that's completed for somebody if they want to do that add-on and test
Yeah,
for
of
radon?
course. Here's your science lesson for today. Radon, in a nutshell, radon is a gas that's in the air, and it's present around inside and outdoors, and it's created by it's a uranium gas that's formed in rocks underneath the Earth's surface. And so we're putting these houses in the ground, and obviously the surface contains radium. So a radon test measures the amount of radon gas emitted in the air. And the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, has set what they consider in the US to be safe limits of radon in a home, and that's measured in something called picocuries. And it's acceptable levels of, there's always radon present in a home. That's a given. So acceptable levels according to the EPA are 0.8 up to 4.0 picocuries. And so for you can get the home kits at the big box stores that'll measure radon over a 2-week period. And what you do is you get it, it's a little charcoal canister, and it sits in a spot in the lower level of the home. It collects air and is absorbed into the charcoal, then you cap it up and you mail it back into a lab. The challenge with that with a real estate transaction is that if you have a 10-day contingency
Mm-hmm.
on your transaction, then you need to get it done sooner. So we use electronic monitors that continually monitor on an hourly basis the radon level in the home over a 48-hour period. So our technician comes in. Our company tries to come in 2 days before your inspection appointment, install the monitor, and it's typically installed in the lowest living area of the home. And for an older home that might not have a finished off basement, or a newer home, but a future owner could choose to finish it off at some point in time, that's why typically the radon monitor is set in the lower level. It's running for 48 hours. We come back and pick it up the day of the inspection, and then you get the results within an hour of our technician picking up the report or picking up the monitor. We email a report to the client.
Okay, awesome. And normally kind of a range of costs to run that report. I know.
Yeah,
what
of
do you
course.
guys charge you?
The state of Minnesota licenses and regulates measurement of radon, and the cost for a radon test with our company is $190.
Mhm.
And we're required by law, if the house has, this is a sidebar fact, but if the house has a crawl space or it has a slab on grade, meaning we have to put in additional monitors for each of those.
Is there any extra charge for adding
Nope.
additional monitors?
Nope, that 190 is for up to 3 monitors.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, our
Very
company we own close to 35 monitors, and we keep rotating those through. As far as mitigation goes, a lot of people are really worried about radon, and appropriately so. I mean, it's the second leading cause of lung cancer in the world. If someone does find out though that the home they're going to buy has higher levels, mitigation is not a difficult procedure. It's really straightforward and can be taken care of in about a 4 or 5 hour appointment. And B, it's not that expensive depending on the square footage size of your home. Mitigation is anywhere from $900 to about $1,600. So compared to a lot of other things that can go on in a home, it's really not as troublesome as folks used to think it was.
Very true. I remember in the old days, I've been doing this since 1986, so there are some old days, but we would get buyers coming in from out of state, and they're on a reload transfer, and the company, because they had a national policy of testing for radon, they tested and they would discover it, and nobody else was testing for it. And then we would have a home that had taint on it, if you will. It had radon, and you thought, oh, well, that was really bad. We don't want to get involved with that. And then 20 years later, we find out, well, not only did that home have it, but so did everybody else in the neighborhood, and it wasn't a big deal. But it was just because it was not something that was common. A lot of people had no knowledge of it and just avoided it. But today,
yeah, and
not
now
so
it's
much.
become commonplace. And you just brought up a really good point, which is a really common question for folks as well. Can I assume that if my neighbor's house had a high radon level, or my other neighbor didn't have a high radon level, that I'm going to have a high radon level, or I'm not going to have any? And the reality is that it's really individual to each home.
Mhm.
You may find an area that has a high percentage of it, but in reality, we've tested like 5 houses in a row, and 3 may have a really low level and 2 may have an elevated. And that's because when you think about it, the foundation structure underneath each individual home is different, and so is the construction of that home, the envelope of the foundation. And so some are letting air gases come in, and some are more airtight.
Right. Very true. Well, that's great. With regards to the sewer line inspections, I know some of the cities are going towards, like Golden Valley and Orono, St. Paul and things, are now having mandatory inspections. Is that something that you do as far as the city requirement, or do you just do the home inspections for those particular cities on the sewer lines?
Good question. We don't have a contract with any of the municipalities that currently require sewer scopes. They do those in-house, or they just recommend that people go out on the open market and have somebody do them, which we have been hired to do standalone tests. But a sewer scope is a sewer scope is a sewer scope, and what it basically is a small camera head on a typically 150-foot line that's inserted into the access, typically in the basement of the home, and it goes out to the city connection at the street. And the reason they've become more popular is that, and a lot of us didn't realize this until the last 5 or 6 years, is that as homeowners, we're responsible for maintaining the health and good performance of the sewer line from our home out to the city connection. And so we're actually finding and encouraging, some folks will ask us, well, should I get a sewer scope or a radon test, which is more important? And over the past 2 or 3 years, we actually, if people ask our opinion, we recommend a sewer scope if they have to decide between one or another. It does happen. Our company does bundle, and we offer a discount if someone gets both of them. But irregardless, at the end of the day, the sewer scope is providing you with a video that you can monitor, and if there's issues that are seen and you or the seller need to get something corrected either before the transaction is consummated, or when you've owned the home for 2 or 3 years, you can refer back to that video, and it's really, really useful. Because sewer line, as you know, sewer line repairs can be costly. They can run anywhere from $3 to $10 or $12,000.
Mhm. So you always provide a video then of that sewer line
Yep.
scope?
You get a
Okay.
video, and the video has the technician's comments, and then we also provide a very short report that may have 2 or 3 sentences. But really, a picture is worth 1,000 words in this particular instance.
What if somebody had like a 300-foot driveway or something like that, a super long driveway? Are you guys able to go any length, or is there kind of a maximum length that the sewer
There
line?
is. We go with a common length, and we have 150 feet has been sufficient for about 95% of the jobs that we've done.
Okay.
And other than that, then we would recommend them to. There are certainly sewer line companies that do sewer line repair, and they offer sewer scopes as a part of their service, and they're going to have the extended lines if you need that. Or, for example, if you can't find the access point in the basement to take the cover plate off, physically you can pull a toilet and go through a toilet, or you can go up on a roof and go through a chimney or a roof vent to get out. But that takes more specialized equipment and frankly, a technician that knows more about what possibly could go wrong. Because the last thing you want is pull somebody's toilet, especially a seller. If you're a buyer going in and you're having a sewer scope done, and you come in and you yank the toilet out, and then they put the toilet back in, and 24 hours later the seller calls and says, "Hey, my toilet's leaking," or whatever the case may be. It just opens itself up to a lot more variability.
Agreed. Well, I'm just thinking off the top of my head here. I live in Edina, and Edina sends out to all the residents. And we have the opportunity to pay $80 a year to get a sewer line insurance policy.
Yep.
So that, that would be covered. And then I have Farmers Insurance, and they also offer a sewer line insurance rider, for like $40 a year. So it's very inexpensive to prepare for that. I'm just wondering if proactively, if a seller was to get either of those insurance policies in place, and then you did, prior to selling, a seller hired your company to check the line and discovered there was a problem. I wonder if they would be able to make a claim on that. And I guess we don't know because we haven't looked at the insurance policy, but what do you think about that as an idea, maybe as some, because right now we're talking about buyers doing inspections.
Yep.
What about if a seller, and how often do you maybe see sellers doing some of these things proactively so as to not have them come up during their transaction, whether it be a home inspection or certain parts of the inspection?
We have seen a definite increase in that over the past 3 years. Sellers that want to get ahead of the game, and typically it will be a seller who's owned previous homes in the past and has experience in it, realizes that it's to their competitive advantage to remain in the driver's seat, if you will, as far as disclosing information. And if someone's of the mindset that they want to be as transparent as possible, then having a sewer scope and or a radon test done gets them that much farther down the line. Plus, they're able to control who does the testing, who does the sewer scope, and many sellers are starting to have what we call a pre-listing inspection done. It's the same thing as the inspection that I just described. But typically what it does is it gives the seller an advantage because they have a couple choices. They can either choose to act on maybe 1 or 2 of the recommendations of potential issues that will be discovered in a buyer inspection, so they can get ahead of the game by taking care of that. Or they can choose not to do anything with the information, but they'll provide a copy of the inspection report to prospective buyers. So the buyers are really seeing what's going on with the house. And many buyers will still choose to have their own buyer inspection done, or they may waive having an inspection done if they feel that the seller had an inspection done by a reputable company.
Right. Yeah, that could actually be recently with all the shortage of inventory, we're getting multiple offers. And some of the ways some of those offers have been more competitive is that they've waived their inspection, but they haven't necessarily waived it. We've had enough time for them to bring in their friends or family or do a light inspection to know what they're getting involved in. so that they feel comfortable waiving that inspection. But if the seller provided that up front, then that would, almost all the offers hypothetically could come in with the assurance that the home is, they know all the issues regarding it because they have that inspection. So
Yeah, I mean, if there's something significant going on, it's the probability of it coming up in the inspection is likely in the buyer inspection. So if a seller is willing to get ahead of it, they're that much farther down the road, and there's going to be more trust established, and you're going to be able to consummate a transaction to both the buyers and the seller satisfaction sooner.
Awesome. Now, with regards to like investment properties, let's say duplex, triplex, fourplex, do you do those too, or just single family homes?
Oh, heck, I'd like to say we do it all. Some investors who've owned a lot of properties, and occasionally we'll find a homeowner. Well, I'm an example. I've owned 8 homes. So, and we still get it inspected by one of our inspectors, not my husband and I don't do it because we want to get an objective opinion about the house. So you can absolutely get ahead of the game with it. Go back to the question, reframe the
Sure.
question.
With regards to investment property, like let's say a lot of my client base,
Yep.
well, not all of them, but let's say like quarter of my clients buy investment properties. And that could be condos, it could be houses, it could be multifamily. So it could be, anywhere from a duplex to a fourplex. And so sometimes on the multifamily, they don't actually want to go through with an inspection or have an inspection. And maybe that's not the best idea. So I'm wondering if your company does multifamily too.
Absolutely, and thank you for reframing that. I got ahead of my thought process, and I thought I better check in with John to make sure I was on track with you. We absolutely do those, and we call it an investment inspection. And basically, what we're looking at is the 4 major systems: so roof, foundation, electrical, and plumbing.
Okay.
And we'll go in, and those typically take anywhere from an hour to an hour and a half. And then we're giving the investor just the bare bones of what they need. And a lot of investors, some of them are also going to be expecting to do rehab anyway, so they really don't need the extensive information. They're looking at what the core elements are in the home.
Awesome. And is it cost the same, or does it cost more to do one of those?
No, a typical cost on ours, and I was going to bring that up anyway because people obviously want to know what an inspection costs. And I mentioned that our costs are based on the size or the square footage of the home and the age of the home. So for example, a 2,500 square foot home built in the 80s is currently about $450 with our company. If we were doing that as an investment inspection, meaning only looking at the 4 key systems, the cost on that would be $300.
Oh, cheap. Should raise your price. That's a great deal. Yeah, for $300 to have another set of eyeballs, identify problems, I think that's definitely worth it. So
yeah, and you're getting a shorter version of a report. The challenge on doing when I share with people that we do those, and they're awesome for people that understand what they're buying. For a first-time home buyer thinking that they want to save money and get just what we call in-house a 4-point in investor's inspection. It's really challenging, and we frankly have never found that to be a successful path for a new homeowner or a new first-time buyer or someone that wants full information, because we get into the home and the buyer naturally wants to start learning more as they're going through the home.
Sure.
And we have to set limits. We can always expand up and do the full inspection, but I think people just need to, and the home buying process is a huge education process for people, and usually in a short period of time. So we just want to be really upfront with people based on our experience that a full inspection is going to be well money spent.
Okay, so they have the option of upgrading if they want, if they decide.
Yeah, in fact, to be honest with you, 95% of people that are basic home buyers, residential home buyers, always end up upgrading.
Yeah, that's what all my clients have done the full inspection. But it's nice to know you have something available for investors, especially if maybe they have somebody out of state or mom and dad that's providing some money to an investor or a fix and flip or something. Yep. They may want, I'm happy to, trust you that you're going to finish the project, but I want to have somebody independent look at this to make sure that I'm not getting into a money pit or a rat hole or something. So yeah, that's great. Well, we'll just maybe go a few more minutes, and maybe you can tell me anything you'd like to share that I haven't asked, we haven't discussed today that you'd like to bring to the
I'd be happy to. In fact, actually, this is something that we rolled out. We have our current edition of with
Yeah, no,
virtual
it kind of goes in
background.
and
It's
out.
hard to tell. Okay, we have Heartland. Heartland has a buyer's and seller's guide to home inspections.
Oh.
And we have our 2021 edition, and one of the things that folks often turn to in that, especially if it's a prospective seller or someone that's going to list their home, is they ask us, well, what can we do to help prepare our home for sale? And really we have information about that on our website, but the top 3 or 4 things that someone can do if they're putting their house on the market is the same old thing. Inspectors are people, and first impressions do make a difference. So having the house picked up and having the attic access accessible. Inspectors legally can't move people's belongings. So if the attic access is in a closet, for example, and there's shelving with belongings on it, you need to clear off those shelves. And then also if the attic access, if the hatch is sealed by caulking, for example, you need to take a straight edge or whatever you prefer to do to unseal that so that the inspector can get up there. And that's something that we certainly mention, and John, you're well aware of this, in communications that go out ahead of time. But access to the ceiling or to the attic, also with the furnace or the boiler in the basement, have clear access to that. Can't tell you how many times we get in, and people naturally, if they're thinking about moving, they may have a lot of boxes in the basement, and they're oftentimes blocking access to the furnace. And again, the inspector can't move people's belongings. So if you know you have an inspection coming up, move things ahead so the inspector has at least a 5-foot radius around the electrical panel or the furnace. The other thing that's a real simple fix for people is go through the home and make sure that all the light bulbs, that there aren't any burned out light bulbs. Double check that if you have batteries in your carbon monoxide detector or your smoke detector, that they're fresh batteries. The inspector doesn't necessarily test that those monitors are working, but they will pop them on and off if they can reach them. Check that, go around to all your faucets, turn them on, look underneath, see if you have any leaks. That's also a real simple visual thing. And also if you have vanities, which most of us do with our faucets, move the belongings again in the vanity so that the inspector underneath, so the inspector can see what's going on. The inspectors take pictures along the way, and if we run into an area that we can't inspect because it's blocked by personal belongings, we'll include those pictures in the report. But at the end of the day, that's something that can raise a question mark in the prospective buyer's mind when they're reading the report and wonder what they need to do, because it's difficult during the short time of the transaction, the sales transaction, to have the inspector back out to the house.
Okay, excellent. And that report, how would they get a copy? Is that downloadable from your website, or?
Yep, what happens is when they get that report on the same day as the inspection, we shoot out an email. It has a link to the property report. It also has the inspector's contact information, so that if they have any questions after reading the report, they can contact him easily. And the report is exclusively the property of the person that hired us to do the report. And we get their permission. For example, whenever one of your buyers hires us, we get their permission to release a copy of the report to you the same day.
Perfect. Yeah, no, that works out really nice, and then we can start talking about it and negotiating or whatever we need to do from that information. Yeah. Wonderful. Anything else you'd like to share with us, Vicki? Other than, of course, please let us know your name, phone number again, and your website so everybody.
No, absolutely. I think I would share that as nerve-wracking as buying or selling a home can be for everybody, and like I mentioned before, I've been on either side several times. Enjoy the process. It's really a great experience, and the home inspection is any home inspection is going to find issues. We've been doing this a long time, and I think once we've actually had the inspector come back and say, I could not find a single thing in that house. And that's awesome. But the reality is that each house has its own story to tell. And we always tell folks, just take the information in and decide with your realtor how the home fits your needs for home ownership.
Excellent. That's very true. Yep. Thank you.
So, and other than that, people often ask us what the most unusual thing is that we've ever found during a home inspection. And we have found piles of money up in an attic.
Really?
Box.
Wow.
Yep. So we took pictures of it.
Wow. Was it a rental property, like a drug house or something, or?
You know, it didn't seem like it was, but it had clearly been up there a long time. So our guess was somebody had moved and they never looked in this box at the far end of the attic, and lo and behold, so we turned it into the cellar. And
I heard a story one time about a machine gun up in a Lake of the Isles home, from like in the 20s or something. Somebody found a Tommy gun. I don't know if that's an urban legend or if that's true, but I heard about that one time, that was something that was found. Have you ever found anything like that, or just the money? I mean, the money is crazy.
Well, no, we haven't. But I have a friend who has an inspection business down in Charleston, South Carolina, and he was inspecting a really old home, like a build in the 1830s.
Yeah.
And he went in, and it was in an area of town that was being rehabbed quite a bit. And he had been in the house for about 45 minutes and went upstairs to a bedroom and was alone in the house, opened the closet door, and there was a guy hiding in the closet.
Wow.
He says, I don't know who was more scared, the guy in the closet or me, but I've never made it out to my car so fast in my life.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
It all turned out fine, but
scary stuff. Yeah, I'm glad that it had a happy ending.
And that's the other thing, is that I think folks need to be aware that when we're doing inspections, we are in people's home. We're a guest in the seller's home, and we're very respectful of that. And at this point, with COVID protocols in place, we are limiting the number of people in the inspection to 3 people, and that can be 2 people and their agent, or 2 people and a friend or family member. And at this point, we're asking people to keep kids home. If they haven't seen the property yet, they can schedule another showing to go in and do that. But we are limiting the amount of time people are spending in the home to under an hour.
Perfect.
And it's worked out fine.
Yep. Outstanding. Outstanding. Well, it's been wonderful visiting with you today and sharing all this great information for everybody. Vicki, how can everybody reach you if they'd like to order an inspection or have further questions?
Yeah, of course. Our website is heartlandinspections.com, just like it says on the banner. It's HEARTLAND inspections.com. And our phone number, and I'll repeat it twice, is 612-961-3306. That's 612, sounds like an infomercial, 612-961-3306. And something else that folks may not know is that you can call our office with questions or to schedule an appointment, but you can also schedule online 24/7. And we have a significant amount of our jobs are booked online. People are finding that really convenient. So I just wanted to share that as well.
Oh, wonderful. I'm still old school, but that's great to know. And I know online is a lot more convenient. So that's great. Well, thank you. Have a wonderful day. I'm going to go ahead and log off. Again, this is Vicki, the owner of Heartland Inspections, and thank you very much.
Great. Thanks. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.